break. It is the hour of 8 a.m. in the morning, and today I'm joined with Dr. Sam Derrick, the sports doctor.
What I like on this set, everyone calls me a different name. Rita used to call me the sports master.
So I've called you the sports doctor.
You've now given me a doctrine.
Because I know what you do when it comes to sports.
Wow.
That's why I'm giving you the doctrine today, this early morning.
Fantastic.
And being it's the 1st of June, so you'll accept and take the doctrine. So
Indeed.
From today onwards, you should add.
Actually, do you believe that I wasn't aware that today is the first day of June? I thought today is 31st.
No, Sebo. Today it's the 1st of June.
Man, my hair is running very fast.
Very, very fast. But for starters, what do you have for us in sports?
In sports?
Yeah, on Saturday, my guy, as I was going back home, I saw people...
Silent. The city was silent.
It wasn't silent. People were making a lot of noise after Arsenal losing.
But if Arsenal had won that game or the championship, the city would have gone crazy.
The floor is yours, sir.
Good morning, viewers. Sam Derrick is my name. Sport is the reason as why I'm here. Indeed, let's start with the Arsenal failing to win the UEFA Champions League. The second time reaching the finals, and they failed to be crowned as champions because they fall short against that is PSG in penalty shootouts. Remember, Arsenal failed to convert in the two penalties. That is Belete Eze and Gabriel Magalhaes, the Brazilian, failed to convert in their two penalties. But regardless, however much they failed to be crowned as the European champions, they went on to celebrate the trophy that you are watching there on your screen. Arsenal, what they did is to go on with their trophy parade in London. Before the trophy parade actually came into existence, there was a delay. Remember, Arsenal, their bus that you are watching there, they had graphics showing that Arsenal they're going to celebrate as European champions, but they had to first remove all that and stay as the English Premier League champions because they were very confident reaching the final their second time. They were expecting to celebrate two trophies, the UEFA Champions League and the English Premier League, but the Champions League was not there. They had to continue with their celebrations of the English Premier League. But I'm one of the people who don't blame anyone at Arsenal for failing to be crowned as champions, because their season was already done after them being crowned as champions for the period of over 22 years in a drought of the English Premier League. Yet they had injected in a lot of money to get a trophy. Mikel Arteta was there to help Arsenal at least get something that is the English Premier League. Now, according to Mikel Arteta and his bosses, that is a Kroenke family, their focus next season is on the UEFA Champions League. I don't know whether my producer can be in position to show us PSG celebrations in Budapest on Saturday. PSG did celebrate it in front of Arsenal, but Arsenal, they really need to do a lot to reach the stage of the UEFA Champions League. But next season, they are saying it's theirs. We are waiting to see. Will they be able to make it happen? But that is how they did celebrate it yesterday. Their trophy parade. London was red yesterday. Okay, let's leave Arsenal alone because they have to focus on next season, and most of their players are going to feature in the FIFA World Cup for their countries, the likes of David Raya on Spain and the rest. So let's continue with the Uganda Cup. Here in Uganda, we also had the champion of the Stanbic Uganda Cup, that is Kitara. They had 2-1 win against the AC Villa. Remember, AC Villa are the record champions when it comes to Uganda Premier League. They were able to win it way back, as it was before it came into being branded as Uganda Cup. It was initially called Kakungulu Cup. Villa was one of the teams that used to be very, very, very instrumental and very active when it came to winning, that is the Kakungu Cup, which is apparently called the Uganda Cup. Kitara FC, they too 1 win against the Villa at Fufa Technical Center. Njeru confirmed that they are going to be representing Uganda in the CAF Confederations Cup. This is the second trophy after the CAF Champions League, where Kitara are going to be representing Uganda. This is going to be their second time to go on continent, but the first edition, when they featured there, they weren't able to join in the group stages. They were eliminated in the preliminary stages, but we are waiting to see. Remember, they did brought in a number of players. Even Muhammad Shaban Jagason is one of the players they always build on when it comes to their forward line. Patrick Kadu, Gaddafi Wahab, one of the best players this very season in the Star Times Uganda Premier League, even in the Uganda Cup, one of the best players. So they have a number of players you expect them to build on when it comes to the continent level. And now we are waiting to see, would that celebration continue on the continental level, or it is going to stay in that is Fufa Technical Center in Njeru, where they were able to be crowned as champions of the Stanbic Uganda Cup there. So that is it. Kitara, congratulations. Now we are looking forward to support you when it comes to a CAF Confederations Cup. You have to pull up your stockings, because the entire nation is looking up to you to represent our flag there. So, leaving alone the Uganda Cup, as I'm stepping out because my time is almost done. Uganda under 17 women qualifiers, that is, it was a World Cup. We fall short against that is Kenya over the weekend after a 0-0 draw at Nyayo Stadium in Kenya. Kenya qualified to join the next round, where they're going to be playing the winner between Tanzania and South Africa. That is South Africa, because South Africa were able to join the next round. So Kenya are going to be taking on South Africa there. But Uganda, we fall short due to away goals rule, because at Fufa Stadium Kadiba, Kenya came here and got a 1-0 draw. So that away goals rule gave Kenya a chance to qualify to the next round. What is next? On to Shelley Boats, that is the coach for ladies teams. When I talk of ladies teams, I mean the team that is the ladies team, even the under 17, under 20s. She has failed to deliver, but we are waiting to see, will she be able to retain her position as the head coach or not? All hands in the FUFA, that is FUFA board. Will she add anything to Uganda when it comes to women's football or not? But Uganda, we were eliminated. Under 20, our journey stopped there. Under 17, we are now out of the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. So, for conversation, join me at 3 to 4 p.m. because we have a load. Tungasas FC, they made a statement. Even the Archeries Federation, they have something. So, don't miss it at 3 to 4 p.m. I'm here with Regan. I don't know whether he's okay. Are you okay?
Do I look like as if I'm not okay?
I don't know.
I'm very okay, just that
you might be having a plastic smile.
Just that I don't. Just that you don't talk about basketball. I don't know why.
Basketball.
You don't talk about Namwang Blazers.
Blazers.
City Oilers.
They are
JK.
Performing, they are performing, but actually in basketball, Uganda, we were to host the Afro Basketball under 18, but the chance was given to Egypt due to Ebola.
The outbreak of Ebola.
Yes. So the chance.
How about the Ugandan league when it comes to basketball? Is it going?
Oilers and Blazers are still taking the lead.
As always, I'm a big fan of the Namwang Blazers.
But this campaign, Blazers are not that very active. as they were last edition, because the Oilers are chasing very hard to go back and represent Uganda on the continent. And
Thank you, Sam Derek.
You all know, whenever it comes to injecting money, Oilers, they have.
Actually, they have
money.
When it comes to money, they have the money.
Oil money is there.
Oh yeah.
So they have to.
But regardless of their money, I'm still a big fan and a big supporter of the Namuongo Blaze.
All right. We're waiting to see.
Let's go in for our today in history. On the 1st of June, that was in 1993, the wife of former president of the Republic of South Africa, that was Winnie Mandela, she was sentenced, but the court of law in South Africa cancelled her sentence and later on she wasn't jailed. But our doctor is coming in to give us more information. You know, when it comes to, is more of an African. And doctor, please come and take the floor. You talk about what will happen after. You take us through what happened on to this very day of the 1993, after Winnie Mandela, the former wife of the president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, the court of law ruled and said they cancelled her sentence due to evidence that was brought out.
So you wanted her to be locked?
What I know about her, she wasn't really an easy person. If you recall, after her husband was being taken, when the husband was taken to jail, she took on the mantle and she did what the husband was supposed to do. She got more people, mostly the women, and they went onto streets and they protested against the Dutch or the Boer settlers in the Republic of South Africa. So actions, to the extent very many people were killed. And I believe she did what she was supposed to do, but later on after, the court ruled out that, and they cancelled out her sentence.
Yeah. So 1993, there was a stampede. There was some case where a Mandela football team that was, there was a football team that was named after him. Of course, that was after him being released, because it got released in 1992. Mandela got released in 1992, and then in 1994, South Africa got political independence. But in between there, allegedly, the Mandela football team, arrested some people, and one of them got killed. Okay. So the allegation was that Winnie Mandela was behind that very kind of arrest. Of course, the case was put up against her, and she was supposed to serve a sentence of 6 years behind prison. But of course, 6 years behind locks, 6 years in prison. But of course, they appealed, and the sentence was taken away. She didn't serve it. She didn't serve. But that was a way of trying to reduce her power. Because by that time, Winnie Mandela was very, very far more important to the people of South Africa than even Mandela himself. Because Mandela in real Pan-Africanism, Mandela is not even on the list of the people that we celebrate, because he was a sellout. One of the problems that we're having in South Africa, you see black people being fighting against black people. That's not the South Africa that people wanted. And the Mandela that was the original one, I don't want to say that the one who died in 2013 was a fake one, but of course there is some evidence that the one who was buried in Ikunu, because that fake one died in 2013, and he was buried in Ikunu. He died on the 5th of December 2013, and he was buried in Ikunu. Now, people say that the real Mandela died in 60s. Because after
why would they say that the real Mandela died? The spirit in him?
I don't want to call it a spirit or what, but he died in 2013, let's go by that, and then he was buried in Kuno, where all American presidents attended the burial, and the president himself was very far and President Benjamin Mkapa, the president of Tanzania by then, I'm forgetting, Jakaya Kikwete was very far. Yet the best people that would give the speech, what you call a eulogy, the speech, the best person that will eulogize the kind of, it would have been either Robert Mugabe, maybe Jakaya Kikwete, or Museveni would have been given a speech. But of course, Winnie Mandela stands out as the most vocal South African, because when Mandela disappears for 27 years, when he get looked at Posmo, and then after Ruben Island, because he spent almost 27 years in prison. After being there for all that time, the struggle continued. And the people, or the face of the struggle was Winnie Mandela. She was in a position to put up a serious resistance. She was very, very popular, very, very famous. She went on and put up a very big challenge with her 2 kids. So the people of South Africa so much respected Winnie, because she died in 2018. Actually, on the burial ceremony, that was the first time for the world to get to know about Julius Malema. Julius Malema came out and said, "Mama, the people that killed you are here. Why don't you wake up and tell us what to do?" He was almost waking up the dead person, or he was almost waking up the dead body of Winnie Mandela, calling her to wake up and chase away the foreigners. So the point is that Winnie Mandela she's in a league of herself. You could somehow relate her to Nandi Netumbo Ndaitwah, the current president of Namibia. Yes. There is a little bit of because Netumbo Ndaitwah was also amongst the struggles. She was in position to flee away from Tanzania, actually from Namibia, and then she went and settled in Tanzania, and then she also went to Russia to do her course in 1976. So we don't have so many women that were on the forefront of fighting against towards the liberation of the African continent. So Winnie Mandela stands out, and her legacy, by the way, her legacy is way, way, way beyond than the legacy of the fake Mandela.
Actually, her actions, to some extent, very many people came out and said at a point, she was against the husband, the way she...
Yeah, she was against the fake husband. Now, let me just put it out there. The Mandela joins the African National Congress, which was established in 1918, right? He joined this party towards the end of 1940s. And he realizes that probably the approach that these guys were using was not going to be in a position to help South Africans. So Mandela moves away from the African National Congress and he starts another political party called Mokoto Wasiziwe.
Yes.
Now the Mokoto Wasiziwe was like having the National Unity Platform and the People Power Movement. So the Mokoto Wasiziwe was a military wing of the African National Congress, where these people were in a position to get guns. They were saying, okay, instead of just Simanya demonstrating, Simanya singing, it's like that the Dutch and the British can just get away. Well, those things had not worked. Now, it was the American CIA, but then America was under the leadership of J.F. Kennedy that spied and got to understand exactly where where Nelson Mandela was, and he got arrested, and then they got him paraded. Now, allegedly, the real Mandela got a lot of issues in that angle, and he did come back. So they say that there's so many 27 years, they say, that Mandela was in prison. They were looking for what we call a drone, a clone, or a double. A double is when someone gets your your genes, and then they manufacture something or someone that looks like you.
Exactly like you.
Sure. So for the so many 27 years, allegedly, they were coming up with a clone that would appear to be like Mandela. Now, for the 27 years, the struggle was moving forward, and the face of the struggle was Winnie Mandela.
Yes.
Now, when Mandela got released in 1992, Winnie Mandela certainly, Mandela said that I cannot continue with the relationship with Winnie Mandela. Why? Because for 27 years, when Mandela was allegedly locked up, this woman had gotten into so many entanglements with so many men. So Mandela would not be a good president with a first lady that had slept around with so many men around.
Yes.
So he was advised to give up on her. Right? But this woman kept on the struggle for 27 years in his absentia. Now, you understand?
But so, her actions, at some point, very many people came out, mostly the European or the Western people paid more attention to her action, and they said her actions were against the struggle to the extent that very many people were killed
because she was fighting
the
them.
Dutch settlers. It became a war instead of a struggle, protesting for their independence, to see that their voices are being heard as South Africans. But later on, we saw quite a number of people being killed.
Can the thief tell you the size of padlock you need to use on your door?
No.
If I'm fighting, come on. If I'm fighting,
Was it a strategy also?
No. If I'm fighting and I want to get my country liberated, you don't tell me how to fight.
Okay.
Most especially the enemy. You don't tell me the tools to use and the tools not to use. Most especially when I'm fighting you. So when the Westerners come out and they condemn whatever she did to ensure that she liberates her people, and I don't think you should be even listening to them. Because at the end of the day, she was okay, for them, they were fighting for independence. The Europeans were looking at the businesses that were supposed to be having. And the struggle was not only here. Winnie Mandela is the person that so much pushed it. People like Jesse Jackson, people like Barack Obama got involved in organizations that were fighting for the liberation of South Africa in the 80s, right? Okay. Because of the struggle that Winnie Mandela had put up while the husband was rotting at Cosmo Prison. In Robben Island. So the point is that any person that comes out and criticizes Winnie on the approaches that she was using to fight for the sovereignty or for the liberation of our country, most especially from the West, we don't have even
But you wind up. I wanted just to add on to something on issues that are ongoing in South Africa. There's xenophobic attacks that are happening of late at the moment. We saw quite a number of, mostly the Ghanaian, the western part of Africa, Ghanaians and Nigerians. At the moment, they're protesting, saying that the South Africans should vacate, mostly Nigeria, to the extent that a group of Nigerians stormed out the South African embassy, and it was locked, provided with protection. But they said they should vacate the country with immediate effect, as they have been doing to South Africans. And back in South Africa, the people that were leading the xenophobic attacks came out and said they're out of funds at the moment. They cannot fund the protests. They're out of funds. Besides being out of funds, to the extent that this time round, the lady that was in charge of the entire protest, she came out and said that the Ghanaian government took things to a far, they took an extra mile, that it was just a protest. They just gave them a period of time to just go back home than, making it look like as if they're fighting other African countries. But by look of things, Ghana as well is also, the Ghanaians are protesting, saying that South Africans should vacate Ghana, and they should also go back to their country and develop their country, as they are claiming to foreigners that are in South Africa that they should go back to their countries and develop their countries. But that was on Friday. A group, the first bunch of Ghanaians was able to return back home, and the Ghanaian government came out and said it will be able to provide something for them as a startup, being that they have lost almost everything that they had worked for in South Africa. But where does this leave the African continent, being that Africans are now fighting each other? Besides fighting each other, we are seeing now at the moment, it is in South Africa, now it has gone to Nigeria, and we know when it comes to Nigeria, very many people are condemning it, and even South Africans themselves, a couple of them are saying, now you people have forced away the foreigners. How many businesses have you so far created at the moment? Businesses are closed. Your people, you're in streets protesting, but we are not seeing results. Instead of working together for the better of South Africa and also the African continent, where does this leave the African continent?
It leaves it nowhere. That is, each and every time there is what you call a window. There are windows. A window gets a little bit opened to show the rest of African leaders that the Organization of African Union it has to be the future. Okay. If it's not done now, it won't be done again. Like the window opened towards 1960s. We talked about here how the establishment of the Organization of African Union was established. Now this is another window. There is a very big window of change. given the fact that you've been in position to see what is happening with the West Africa, Sahel states, what Aliko Dangote is trying to do, and all these, and the war in Iran, the war in Lebanon, the war in Sudan, the war in Congo. You know, there are so many indicators that are so much showing the rest of African leaders that the future of the African Union has to be done. But each and every time this window opens, some leaders don't see it. Most of the leaders don't see it. So what you're seeing in South Africa, you don't have to blame the Zulu, the Xhosa for going on the streets, because that's what they know. They are poorly informed, they are poorly equipped, they are poorly educated.
A friend of mine in South Africa told me that even their education sector is very, very, very poor. That if someone completes primary 7, but at least we are somewhere.
Now, we are not anywhere. We are not anywhere.
You cannot compare education sector to that of South Africa.
We don't have an African country that has a good education system.
Like?
If you're not studying about your wealth, then what are you studying? So you compare immediates. Which kind of education are you talking about? Tell me one African country. What do you know about coffee, Sebo? Give me 4 types of coffee that we have in Uganda. You.
Arabic coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you of sense.
Give me 4 types of coffee.
Actually, I've not invited into coffee, though I'm planning
If
to,
you don't
to
know
plant
anything
coffee.
about coffee, then you're praising this education system.
No, I'm not praising the education system, but I'm comparing it to the South African.
You compare the
because
immediates.
okay.
All because of this fake education system. If you don't know anything about gold, if you don't, all of what we know about gold is eggy.
Eggy, true. Percentages.
The chemical formula, eggy.
The minimum percentage of gold is 97, 90, purity and everything.
That's what we know. So the education system that doesn't teach people about their mineral worth, about their resources, about who they are. You know a lot about Jesus than you know about your family members.
Yes, I do. No, I don't know that much because I can.
No,
but I know it about Jesus.
People know more about us than that they know about themselves.
I don't know about Arsenal.
Yeah. So the point is that the education system, yes, when you say that what is happening in South Africa is far worse, but this is worse.
Doctor,
I'm being honest.
Shouldn't we expect to see more things like that like what is happening in South Africa, ongoing within other African countries? Now, if it started in South Africa and it is not the first time this has been happening, and to the extent that this time around, other African countries are tired, and we expect to see the African Union, intervening in such issues, but the African Union is nowhere to be seen. The South African government is quiet. People are being chased out of the country. Regardless of you have papers, if you don't have papers, it is the same case. And where does this leave the African continent? Being that we are supposed to be as one, as a body of Africa, and to see and to tackle things that take us in front as African.
The Organization of African Union is also very fake, so you don't expect anything fake, substantive from the Organization of African Union. It's just by name. The African Union is just by name. If it can't even talk about what's happening in Congo, at least the xenophobic attacks, they're just demonstrations, right? But what is happening in Sudan?
Okay.
What's happening in Congo? What's happening in Ethiopia? What's happening in Mali?
Ethiopia, they are actually in elections today.
Yeah, they're in elections, but there has been a conflict for the last 6 years.
With Tigray?
Tigray.
Yes.
You understand? So if the African Union cannot get involved in Sudan, where there is a military conflict, right? If they cannot get involved in what's happening in Congo, they have failed. That is a very, very serious disaster. If they have failed to get involved with what's happening in Mali, in West African countries, and then you're telling them about the xenophobic attacks, they can't do anything. So, but the people of South Africa, like you've said, by the way, the lady who spoke that they're out of the cash, that is the reality. Because this is not...
So there is someone funding the entire process.
This is funded. This is a funded deal.
But who is funding it?
This is a funded deal. Now, what you have to understand is that we are talking about BRICS now. One of the founding members of BRICS is South Africa. It was the first African country to get involved in there. Now, when South Africa gets involved last year or beginning this year, January, South Africa went into military drills with Russia, Iran, and South Africa. They had rules around the Cape of Good Hope. That's between the boundaries of Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. They were doing drills there. And for so long, the whites in South Africa have always been establishing themselves as an independent country. They want to establish their own country. Orania rather, that is the Cape Colony. That has been the movement.
Okay.
Right? And definitely, you can't have the Soso, you can't have the Kosa, you can't have the Zulu, help you get into that. Land is taken up. Almost 87% of the land in South Africa is
by
owned
the
by
whites.
whites and
Yes.
various other people.
Yes.
You understand? South Africa was a nuclear power. It was the first African nuclear power, I think in 1976. And they lost it.
But now they're no longer, yes.
So the point is, this is not about the streets. That's why Cyril Ramaphosa is not saying anything.
And that's what surprises me, because I would expect the government of South Africa to intervene into whatever that is ongoing in South Africa. But it is very quiet.
South Africa has never been independent. There are so many issues we talk about here, but maybe you forget a lot, Mr.
No, I don't forget.
You're still a young man. You're still a young man. Who is better than you? Your memory is very, very...
No, I don't forget, but it's just like when I look onto events that are happening at the moment, I get questions in my head and I'm like, what's really happening? We would have expected the government of South Africa to intervene, but you see, even government officials, they're also participating into what is going on. So you ask yourself, where does this leave us, the Africans, the Ugandans that are in South Africa looking for money? Regardless, their protests could be right, that the Ugandans should come back to Uganda and focus on the development of Uganda. It is very okay. But then, it's there are South Africans there are South Africans that are outside of South Africa. You get the point? But we are Africa as a body, as a continent.
No, there's no
we
body.
Should stand.
There's no body.
Yes, there's no body, but
there's no
we are,
body.
We are
blame
Africa.
People like you.
Why would you blame people like me?
When you say that we live together or we are Africa, Africa is just by name. Africa is just by name. Even that is not our real name, by the way, if you are to go into the reality.
Okay.
No, this continent, the name Africa was given to Africa by a gentleman called Africanus, one of the Greek idiots who came and conquered Asia. But this continent is called Alikiboland. That's the real name of this continent. Now, if you're referring a continent with a fake name, and that is the name that we know officially, that's why I've always been telling you, I don't like being in Uganda because that's a fake name.
Actually, I looked for the meaning of Uganda. I failed to get the meaning of Uganda.
So when you say Africa is a body that is supposed to be functioning or showing harmony and all that, it is just a geographical entity. But the people that are living in here,
but this color, unites us. Being that when you go to the Western countries, there's a way they look at you with this color. Truth be told, the segregation, the way they look onto a black person. So, but at least this color should or would have united us, and we wouldn't. There's no need for us to go through such xenophobic attacks towards the same color, regardless of the different languages that we speak, but the color.
Not really. There are so many ways of looking at it. Number one, the people of South Africa have mandate to define exactly how they want their territories to be governed. That's a fact, by the way. That's what sovereignty means.
Yes.
If you didn't want that to happen, you would have gone forward with the Organization of African Union with under one state and under one leader. Now that window closed. Right?
Okay.
Now, when such things happen, they are trying to show you that the bigger vision that our forefathers had was the best vision. You understand?
Yes.
So if you getting a little bit of it's easier for Western countries or for intruders to come and influence Africa when you're just alone. Like, for instance, what can Eritrea do to defend themselves from intruders? What can Djibouti do?
Nothing.
Sudan can't even protect their borders. You understand?
Yes.
So in order for Africa to operate together, you must have a bigger union. Uganda has only 60,000 soldiers. They can't even protect you. 60,000 soldiers can't even protect Wakiso. Because I told you Wakiso has 4 million people.
Yes.
This Uganda should have, we've always been talking about the establishment of the East African Standby Force. This Uganda should have at least 5 million soldiers.
Minimum.
Yes, 5 million soldiers. Because if you're talking about the protection of Africa, now when when you look at the xenophobic attacks, those are just indicators of something that is big. You know, the people have come back because they want that country. South Africa is one of the biggest producers of diamond. It is South Africa, Botswana, and Tanzania, and Sierra Leone. You know,
yes.
so they have some of the rarest. You know, actually, 50% of the diamonds that have ever been put on the world market, all of them have been mined from Kimberley. That is South Africa. So the country is rich, and people want it. So
Doctor,
there's something that we did last week.
Doctor, true, people want it, but I believe before going on streets, they should start by putting something to indicate that they want their country back in their hands. You know, it is not the first time that they are striking. Take you back, still they striked about the whites that had dominated most of the land that was that is in South Africa. We don't really know where it ended. We saw people striking. You know, Malema came out and led the protests. You know, telling people that this is our land. You white settlers should give back our land. Then after that,
this is what I was trying to drive you to. The people in South Africa cannot protect themselves.
Okay.
We don't have any single African country that can fight aggressors.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. We've just been talking about how much Uganda earns from the $2.5 billion, what and what. That money that Uganda is earning as a country, one European power, one European company is earning it on a daily basis.
Yes.
That is it. You understand?
Yes.
the trade between Canada and America, the trade value that they had on a daily basis, that's around 2.5 billion. That's how much Uganda earns between Uganda, Congo, and all that. So what we earn on an annual basis is what Canada and US, the trade volume or the trade value of Canada and US is 2.5 billion US dollars. So you can't fight those people. You know, the entire African GDP is not even comparable to the GDP of Apple computers. So you can't fight globalists. We don't have any independent African country that can fight global powers or global companies. What do? You must get into a union. South Africans can't fight. So what you're looking at is xenophobic attacks. Those are just indicators. By the way, they are very symptoms. Those are just the symptoms,
and actually,
basics.
One of the leaders in South Africa came out and said whatever, anything that is going on, it is under the constitution. They have not broken any law. The South African, they have a right to protest to issues that they feel like they are not compatible. They are not compatible to the Republic of South Africa, to the locals or to the South Africans. So whatever that is ongoing, it is very okay. But we don't really know, because South Africa at the moment, it has lost deals of money with Ghana. You know, the gold mining deals that were being done in Ghana between South Africa and Ghana. You know, the Ghanaian government came out and said we can no longer be in business with you South Africans if at all you are doing such things onto the fellow Africans, the Ghanaians. You know, and businesses are closing in Ghana and Nigeria.
I'm not getting you. Are you complaining?
No, I'm not complaining. But what I'm trying to say is it could be right, whatever that is ongoing there. But what I'm saying is you know, we are all Africans.
Auntie, thank you so much. That was my point. If you really want to say that you are all Africans, then come out and protect Africa. Because
Doctor, for starters, are you in support of whatever that is going on in South Africa?
Yes.
Why would
Let
you
them
support?
go back to their countries.
Okay.
I support them. Let them be just. You know why? Because that is just a symptom of something that is big. I've just told you. The people in South Africa can't even protect themselves. So this is what I'm trying to show you. I'm just trying to show you a little bit of a bigger picture. That the problem that we have, the xenophobic attacks, are not even amongst the top challenges we have on this continent. Okay. I've just told you we have a war in Congo, where it's a genocide actually. Kids are being raped by UN forces. Okay. Kids are vaccinated with viruses in the Congo here. And that has been on for decades. Let's just talk about Sudan. General Dagaro and Burhan have been fighting for the last 6 years.
Yes.
There's no functioning government. The government of South Sudan is bankrupt. All those problems cannot be handled at country level. Okay. Africa has to get united. We get a force to Kubaba Ferrabo, but to get out of this continent.
Doctor, let me...
And in order to do that, first of all, you must have an army. Like an army, a serious army. Because no one even protects the Indian Ocean. You just move around the Indian Ocean. They are French troops, American troops,
American.
Chinese troops, and all that. And if you come into the Straits of El Mandebo around Djibouti, they're the same. If you go to Suez Canal, all the anti-African continent is surrounded by foreign forces.
Doctor, let me pose a question to you. Let me ask you a question regarding onto your submission. Do you think or do you believe that the xenophobic attacks that are happening in South Africa, it is an indication that in Africa we have poor leadership, that people are running away from their countries, going to other countries to look for greener pastures? Is it a sign that indicates that or whatever that is happening, it's a sign that shows that poor governance of other African countries and poor leadership?
Not really. By constitution, each and every country has standards on which people have to come into their country.
Okay.
Right? It's everywhere. You know, we have economic immigrants, you know, and we don't have any standard procedure in any country that denies a foreigner access to your country.
Thank you.
So long as when they come in and they meet the standards.
Yes.
Right? We have refugees here that are employed. TV1 has around 6 refugees that are working with us here.
Well, is that necessary?
Yes, no, I'm just giving because they are qualified.
Okay.
So long as you have the qualification, we don't have any justification of saying that someone's a foreigner. No, are you qualified? Are you a law-abiding, refugee? They have a right to work.
Yes.
But what I'm trying to show you is that is a little bit simple. The problem on the African continent is the division that we have along country levels. South Africa themselves alone, the Zulu, the Xhosa, they can't fight what is happening in their country. If they can't, they can't even determine who, come on, that country is very fake. But not only the only fake country, we have so many fake countries on this African continent. And the challenges that we have, we don't have any independent country that can stand strong. The only country that had tried to stand, it was Libya, Kanamama Gaddafi.
Yes.
Zimbabwe. Robert Gabriel Mugabe took away all the land from the foreigners. Mnangagwa gave it back to them because the country was choking on debts and inflation. Now, the problems that you're seeing...
Malawi also. Malawi.
Yeah, the problems that you're seeing at individual African countries, they are indicators of a bigger problem as the African continent.
Okay.
This continent is not supposed to be called Africa because Afrikaners were just a Greek general, a Roman general. This continent is called Alikibland. So the point is, when you look at the xenophobic attacks, of course, you're going to condemn the people of South Africa. Come on, because you have our brothers there.
Yes.
My young brother who works in South Africa.
I also
He's
have
a taxi
siblings
driver.
in South Africa.
But the point is, if Africa is going to go forward, we need to do what is like serious standard. And this is an opportunity. Abazungu bafa, basiyaze, they have bakade, there is a one Iran, there is a one Ukraine. This would be one of the windows that we would think about. That's how people are looking at this angle. Which kind of discussions are we having at continental level? You really look at people and you're like, no, Gamba, which kind of vision are we having for this African continent? Now, those are the leaders that you have. So if you can't even step into Sudan, like people are dying on a daily basis in Sudan.
And
it's a genocide.
Before even going any further, you mentioned about African being uniting and becoming one, becoming a body. Actually, to the neighboring countries that are within the East African community, we would have expected the intervention of the African community to provide protection to the people, to the subject within the country. But it is nowhere to be seen.
You need crazy people. You need Anassimi Goita. You need Ibrahim Traoré.
Yes.
Let me give you something. Saudi Arabia came up and said that they wanted to construct mosques in the Burkina Faso.
Yes.
200, and they were giving it the funding. Ibrahim Traoré told them that our problem in Burkina Faso is not the mosques. Actually, he went and attended the Eid al-Adha prayers in just an open ground. He told them what we need in Burkina Faso are not mosques, because the Islamic faith is inside us. Whether we have buildings or not, we know where East is. We can face where Mecca
and pray.
Yeah. You understand?
Yes.
So if you have leaders that are still looking at themselves as tribal kings, and then they are talking about the vision of moving to Africa. What is happening in South Africa is just an indicator that Africans do not own the continent because someone is paying them. Just like what we talked about last year on the 29th of October when Tanzania was having elections.
Elections, yes.
You know what you do? You get a leader from the opposition. You get a Tundu Lissu. Tundu Lissu is given the money to bring the Tanzanians on the streets to demonstrate such that the Chama cha Mapinduzi can lose elections. In order to go away from that nonsense. It's nonsense. It's not taking Africa anywhere. You need to have tough leaders. And people should stop defining themselves at tribal level, at country level, because as countries, we have failed. Biganye, obwava buli Congo, obwava buli Uganda, obwava buli Sudan.
And I remember someone came out and said that the African continent, we have one problem. We have similar problems. If it is malaria, you will find malaria everywhere. If it is AIDS, it's AIDS. But the main problem on the African continent, it is bad leadership.
It's not bad leadership.
At some point, Doctor, leaders have failed the Africans.
But leaders are voted by you. That means you have failed the continent.
But sometimes they do vote, but at a point, I don't really know.
No, leaders are voted by you.
Let's just sign out.
Leaders are voted by you. Leaders are voted by you, and they are part of you.
They are part of us, but most of them don't do what they're supposed to do.
Then you demand it from them.
And we've demanded, but there's no result. And most of them, whenever someone comes into leadership, they don't want to go. They don't want to get out of leadership to give other people to add on to what they have done. But instead, the little they have done, they end up demolishing it.
No.
Doctor, sign
the leadership that we are talking about in this very angle, if someone got out and took over leadership by gun, who is stopping the rest to use it as well? So the point is, the problem that we are having on the African continent is just looking at ourselves like, now it's a problem of South Africa, now it's a problem of Sudan, now it's a problem of Congo, right?
We are not entitled to intervene.
Yes. And that is the biggest challenge. When will the East African Standby Force go and attack the eastern part of Congo to go beye ebisikale bya UN ebiri mu kwata abakazi to go beye fake Ebola and all that?
For the interest of time,
Mani,
to our viewers, have a blessed day.